The guys were really apologetic when I got on this morning so they could check out their sound and stuff, because it's like, oh, I don't know, we've got this song, it might be too weird. I mean, you know, it's like celebrating the stuff and it's not really about the stuff. I said, no, go ahead, play it, it'll be fine. And it was fine. It was really fun. Unusual and different. I'd never heard anything like it, but that's okay. So thank you for choosing to be part of this spiritual community today. Welcome to a new month, as Jeff said. During October, we're going to be looking at the abundance of all good. The Prosperity Plus 3 class continues to work their way through Mary Morrissey's material, and the powerful little book, Working with the Law by Raymond Holliwell. Last fall, we looked at his material as a congregation. It seems like an awful lot longer than that to me. But Holliwell's 11 truth principles are every bit as applicable as they were a year ago, and as applicable as they were in 1964 when he published that little book. I'm also going to mention in passing Derek Rydell's book, Emergence. As Jeff said, the Wednesday night group decided that Barbara Marx Hubbard's Emergence was too mystical for them, and it didn't give them enough concrete fodder to work with. So one of them suggested that we switch over to this other book. Sure, why not? Let's get down into something we can use and something we can make benefit out of. So we're going to spend the Wednesday nights in October looking at Derek's book. And if you were part of our community in 2017, you still have this book on your shelf probably. And if you wish to pull it out and join us, you're welcome. Wednesday evenings, 5:30 to 7 Arizona time on this Zoom link. So today I'm going to be speaking about the law of attraction, or how we attract our good, which is why Big Time was perfect, or how we become attractive to our good. One way this talk could be given by almost anyone in this Zoom room, though I won't ask you to do it so you can relax about that, because every single one of us has a lot of experience in practicing attracting. I don't know anyone who has a perfect record of succeeding every time, but it is something that every single one of us practices constantly. And a whole bunch of years ago, when I was still in ministerial school and learning to give Sunday talks, I was always hunting for places to practice and kind people who would let me practice on them. And the CSL in Yuma let me practice on them and told me I could pick my very own topic. The daily reading in the Science of Mind text that week was chapter 18 in the textbook on the law of attraction. I gave them a talk about it, all 13 pages of it. And if anybody in Yuma watches this talk after it's uploaded to YouTube, I apologize. I was learning. I was practicing. This one will be much better and quite a bit shorter. So I invite you to think right now about your own life. Is there some area in your life, health, finance, relationships, or what you do on a regular basis that feeds your soul, that you find easier to work with, easier to be attractive to? And are there other areas where you find co-creating or cooperating with the divine creative principle, to use Holmes's phrasing from today's spiritual thought, where you find it harder, where you find it more difficult? Most people have one or more areas of their life that works really well, easy, effortless, and other areas that are more challenging. Do you know what your easy area is? Do you know what your more challenging area is? These probably popped into your mind right away the minute I asked those questions. What makes your easy areas easy for you? Do you know? If I were to take a guess, these areas are easy because you see those easy aspects as part of your life already. And there's nothing in you that says you can't, shouldn't, or aren't allowed to have them. You may not have thought about it that way before, but that's the essential truth of it. What about the more challenging areas where you can't quite manage to have it happen, where you can't clear the way, where you can't cause it to show up? Holliwell wrote, "Nature does not deprive us of any good thing and has provided us with the mental equipment and the inner power to acquire and enjoy all the essential good to ensure a happy and worthwhile existence." Holliwell wrote that we already have the mental equipment and the inner power we need to do that. Okay, so what does that mean actually? Rydell gave us some clues. He wrote, "The truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not missing anything. Everything you need to fulfill your destiny is within you, waiting to emerge." And Holmes wrote in the textbook on page 295, "Everyone automatically attracts to themselves just what they are. And we may set it down that whatever we are, wherever we are, however intolerable the situation may be, we are just where we belong." Doesn't that suck? There is no power, he doesn't say, doesn't it suck? There is no power in the universe but ourselves that can free us. And Holliwell wrote, "The mind is a magnet and attracts whatever corresponds to its ruling state. Whatever we image in mind, whatever we expect and think about, we tend to bring into our lives." So attracting isn't about getting. It's about becoming. It's about giving of ourselves. It's about emerging as our more conscious self. And it's about letting go of what we don't want. So I want to talk with you about the importance of and how hard it is to let go of what we don't want. You'd think it would be simple, but it's really not. You all already know, or at least I think you do, the reason there are so many head-on collisions with drunk, sleepy, or otherwise impaired drivers. The reason is those drivers are focused on the lights of the oncoming cars. And even if they're still capable of rational thought, the urge to steer towards the light is overpowering. It's overwhelming, and it's deadly. They are unable to move their decision-making from this thing that they see, even if they don't want it. They focused on what they don't want. They're impaired. They're drunk or they're sleepy or, something else. Since we're living in such a very contentious time, it's so easy to take sides and put a lot of energy against those who think differently than we do. I want you to remind you one more time that you attract what you focus on, whether that's a positive or a negative focus. Holmes says on 296, to reduce the whole thing to its simplest form, whatever one reflects into mind tends to take form. Whatever we look at, that's what we get. Whatever we focus on, that's what we get. And I absolutely refuse to spend one atom or one nanosecond of my, as Holliwell named it, mental equipment or inner power focused on what I don't want. I'm really not interested anymore in attracting any more of what I don't want. And I strongly encourage you to do the same thing to the best of your ability. So what do we have to let go of or give up that's in the way of us experiencing our good in all areas of our lives? I think the answer to my rhetorical question boils down to a couple of things. We have to really remember that our good never comes from outside of ourselves. Yes, I know, that one's hard too. And we have to be willing to accept, allow, and embody more good in our lives, which may mean we have to be willing to change. It also means we have to be willing to imagine that we're worthy of having our good. There's a whole lot of meaty conversation to be had within each one of us that can be found in that simple conversation. We get to look at our hidden beliefs, our old stories, things we don't really know about ourselves, and ways we don't believe we're worthy or enough, or whether we can actually trust ourselves to do the most beneficial thing. We get to look at where we think our good comes from. We also get to decide what's most important to us and focus on that rather than any particular how that it needs to look. All of those things are within our skill set, and every single one of them is difficult. Not impossible, but difficult, because it means we have to be willing to change how we think. In Prosperity Plus 3 in the curriculum last week, Mary Morrissey wrote, "Baby steps will take you all the way to the top of Mount Everest, as long as you keep taking them. You have to be in harmony with your dream, that which you desire to create or manifest, or to allow your dream to be born in you, to accept your good and allow it to be born in you. And every day you must take action steps toward that dream." She continues, "Doing what you can with what you have welcomes things you can't yet do in your life. Your dream, the you that you become as you step into this new life, you become this magnet to attract the good you desire. Your dream must come alive in you, and then things will come to you that surprise you." I have one last story, and then I'll close. My sister is very much the traditionalist, and some of you know that every single one of my almost 64 years of living, I had been home for Christmas. Well, this year, that's getting to be an interesting conversation, right? How do we do that? And my sister is the reason that I worry about this, because to her, tradition matters. To her, being together at Christmas is a tradition. So this morning, she and I spent an hour on the phone trying to imagine a way that we could do the holidays together as a family. I looked at every single airline that flew between here and there, and there weren't any that I could even get close on a direct flight. And because I believe it, and because a lot of other people believe it, the more flights you connect to each other, the more risk, the more chance of having an unfortunate thing happen. And because I'm of the age group that is theoretically at risk, and because my sister's in the health condition where she's theoretically at risk and she believes it, and my dad is older than me by a lot, and his new wife is older than me by a lot. So there's all this complication around how do we do the holidays? And after changing the story about what it meant to be together in person, we may have come up with a solution. But it meant changing what was important from the exact replica of every Christmas before to a new potential reality that I think, if we can pull it off, will give us what matters. So there's always a way to become more attractive to the good we desire if we're willing to let go of everything inside of us and outside of us that we think is the way it has to be. Everything that's in the way of the good. It's not easy, but it is possible. That's my truth, and I'm sticking to it. So I want to close with a poem by Christian Larson, known as the Optimist Creed. Some of you that have been around a while, you've seen this as a handout in our Sunday bulletins back when we had those. It's called Promise Yourself. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind, to talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet, to make all your friends feel that there is something in them, to look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true, to think only for the best, to work only for the best, to expect only the best, to be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own, to forgive mistakes of the past, yours and others, and press on to the greater achievements of the future, to wear a cheerful countenance at all times, and to give every living creature you meet a smile, to give so much time to the improvement of yourself, you have no time to criticize others, to be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble, to think well of yourself and to proclaim this fact to the world, not in loud words, but in good deeds, to live in faith that the whole world is on your side, so long as you are true to the best that is in you. It's a tall order, right? It's a tall order to be able to see ourselves and all others as their best and our best. And yet, when we can actually do that, we can pull that off. We can bless ourselves and bless everyone else. So do that. Bless yourself. And thank you. So I want to slide into the morning prayer. If you can think of some piece of your good that you find challenging, and hold that thought in your mind, make space for it to shift and become more available to you. Hold that thought while I speak these words. In the space of this one mind, in the space of this singular holy holiness, where each one lives, moves, and has their being as an expression of this one eternal presence and power, I see each one as already divine, already whole, already perfect, already complete in their manifestation. I see more and more good being released to the world. I see more and more positivity showing up. I see more and more support and help and care and love and peace and joy and harmony. I see a greater compassion. I see greater aliveness. I celebrate this brave new world as my reality because I recognize it as the infinite showing up as me. And I know the same possibility for and about every single other individual. Even though this may mean a change of mindset, I see that happening because I see the greater good being served. I see the greater good being accepted. I see the greater good being realized. And I find great joy and delight in being able to imagine this possibility, because until I can imagine it, until we can imagine it, it can't happen. So I see peace, I see joy, I see harmony, I see inclusion and acceptance, I see life and light and more good. I breathe into this greater expression of good and I celebrate it. And I know as I release my good and see it in others, that becomes the reality for more and more people. Celebrating this great light and life and joy, I relax, allow, and let it be. And so it is.